Welcome to episode 12 of the World of Screens podcast. On today's show, we will be reviewing The Life of Chuck and Nobody 2, plus looking at this past weekend in the Australian box office as always. Mr. Peter Gray is here once more, the bellwether critic himself,
Hey.
the facilitator of the Peter Gray test, making brokers hundreds of thousands of dollars worldwide. How are you going on this Friday afternoon, evening?
Very, very well. As Nick knows off air, some big things are in
There's
play.
some cool shit
I
happening.
mean, there's a great, there's an amazing junket that's happening. There's opportunities for both of us.
Which, funnily enough, I remember last week when we were talking, I can't remember if it was at a screening or just chatting with each other,
Hmm,
where we were like, oh, I don't know if anything's going to happen because it's cutting it close. And
yeah,
then we got the
and then we got
email,
it.
and I was
Um,
like, yes.
and we'll just say that if things go to fruition the way that I hope they do, my social media might be a bit insufferable for a little bit.
For an allotted
Um,
amount of time.
yeah. Yes. Well, that's all we'll say.
That's all we can say.
There's a big thing coming up. It'll be amazing for both of us.
Yes,
But I'm very happy with what it might do for me. So we'll see.
we will see indeed. Watch this
Yeah.
space for that. But as we said at the top of the show, 2 reviews and the box office report coming at you today. But before we get into that,
Hmm.
if you're listening to us on YouTube, make
Oh,
sure you
hey.
like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment, leave some stuff down below. It really helps us out. Speaking of subscribing, head to worldofscreens.com. You can subscribe to our emailing list there. He's the Segway King. I don't know how he does it.
We love it.
We are doing giveaways now at World of Screens.
Hey.
That is super exciting. And the first you will hear about them is via email. So subscribe if you want a chance at getting in early on some competitions. At World of Screens on Instagram. All of your support is incredibly helpful. And it brings me lots of joy, which something else brought me a lot of joy this
Oh,
year.
there's the set. There it is.
He's unstoppable. And what brought me, and I'm you as well, because I know how you feel about this film, is the movie
Yeah.
that we're going to be talking about first, The Life of Chuck.
The universe is large and it contains multitudes, but it also contains me.
A life-affirming, genre-bending story about 3 chapters in the life of an ordinary man named Charles Krantz. That is what The Life of Chuck is about. It's a fantasy drama film written and directed by Mike Flanagan, who I'm sure we'll talk about our love for him in the horror genre. And it's
Mm.
based on the 2020 novella by Stephen King, another horror icon, from his compilation book, If It Bleeds. The film stars Tom Hiddleston, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan, Mia Sara, Carl Lumley, Benjamin Pajak, Jacob Tremblay, and Mark Hamill, with narration by Nick Offerman. The plot follows the formative moments in the life of Charles Chuck Krantz, chronicled in reverse chronological order. Now, you saw this at TIFF last year, which at TIFF in 2024, this film won the Audience Award.
Yeah. So this was one of those ones that like everybody that I spoke to at TIFF were like, Life of Chuck was pretty much on everybody's list.
Yeah.
And
Do you
the
think that
press,
was Flanagan? Do you think that was the Flanagan effect? People were excited to see what he was doing next.
I think it was the Flanagan effect. I think it was the fact that all we had to go off
Mm,
was a picture of Tom Hiddleston.
it's very
Like
true.
there was like no trailers, like there was nothing about this movie.
No synopsis, no
There was
anything. Yep,
nothing.
yep.
Um, so I remember going to a press and industry screening with someone who had seen it the night before at like at the premiere,
Right.
and I was like, "Oh my God, like what is this movie like?" And he just said, he was like, "It's great." He's like, "It's not remotely what you think it's going to be." And he was like, and he's like, "Tom Hiddleston is not in it that much," and I was like, "Interesting," because he's plastered all over
He
this.
is Chuck.
He
Yeah,
is
yeah,
Chuck.
yeah.
Um, saw it, was like, oh my God, just elated. Obviously, had one scene that I was pretty much just like, this is one of the greatest scenes like ever.
And watching it with an audience too, I can
Was
imagine would
oh,
have been
it was
incredible.
it's a crowd. It was like a crowd movie, and I've always said TIFF crowds are one of the best crowds as well. And then it won the audience award, and that usually means it'll be a massive player in award season.
Yes.
And it was very surprising that Neon, who picked up Life of Chuck, did not have it on the 2024 slate.
Also, probably worth noting, it took him a while to pick it up.
It
It
did. And
didn't have a distributor for months after
this is
TIFF.
one of those movies that everyone was like, what is happening?
Mm,
Because like Saturday Night, which I think was one of the runner-ups for the audience award,
yeah.
which everyone was predicting was going to win the audience award
Yeah.
before everyone saw Life
Or
of Chuck.
Chuck played, yeah.
Um, a lot of the films out of TIFF were like big awards players, like obviously Anora,
Yeah.
like Substance, Conclave. But yeah, Life of Chuck kind of just like sat for a bit. And it
Mm,
was weird because we're like, you have so much momentum and you have so much love, and the critics coming out of TIFF were like, this movie's amazing.
mm.
And it was it was disappointing that it kind of was then released to like
Nothing.
little fanfare.
Yeah.
As much as everyone that has seen it is like, oh my God, it's amazing. Everyone out of TIFF was like, yeah, go see this. Um, and now it's been released and it's not really doing
No,
anything.
it
And
hasn't.
it's a
Yeah.
real shame because as Nick and I will both say, an absolutely
A gem.
beautiful, life-affirming film that should be seen by everybody.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's just gonna be left by the wayside.
So it's 81% critics, 88% audience. So those who have seen it has resonated with it. I don't,
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing as well because, funnily enough, Mike Flanagan historically in the cinema has not had a great run.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
Arguably his most successful cinematic release is Ouija Origins of Evil, which is actually a really great sequel to
Mm.
a dog
To a,
shit horror
to a
film.
terrible movie. Yeah.
But Doctor Sleep didn't do well,
Yeah.
and that's an incredible film.
Like,
Um,
I think Oculus did all
I think
right.
Oculus did okay, but again, that's the tiny budget.
Yeah.
Horror
Also,
is always the case, yeah.
weirdly enough, Oculus went straight to DVD in Australia.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember renting it from the video store.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I don't think Mike Flanagan, unfortunately, because I think he's an incredible filmmaker,
Mm.
just doesn't have the cinematic appeal. He's cut a lot of his teeth at Netflix. He's done some of the best things Netflix has seen
Oh, I mean,
in
we'll talk
Haunting
like
of Hill
obviously House,
House.
yeah, Haunting of Hill House. Then he did Hush,
Hush, which is
like an
brilliant.
incredible movie. He did Jared's
Gerald's
Game,
Game was
which
one of the most iconic
one of
degloving scenes.
yeah. So no, actually, yeah, like it's as a
And I
someone
don't
he like really has cornered the market on
mm,
streaming.
and in
And it's a
horror.
real yeah, and in horror, and it's a real shame that. But it's one of those things where like everyone that sees Oculus, everyone that sees Doctor Sleep, everyone that
Mhm.
see will see Life of Chuck or has seen Life of Chuck, nothing but positive
Yeah.
word for it. And then it's
And
like,
he's
show up.
definitely big in the cinephile community as well.
Oh
Mike
yeah.
Flanagan is beloved and he's respected, and he, for me, has not made a
A
bad film
bad
or a
thing. Yeah.
bad series.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's so funny. I was talking to someone a few weeks ago, our friend Haley from Actor, and the trailer came on at this where we were at, and I
Mm.
said, "Oh, you've got to see Life of Chuck." She's like, "Oh no, I don't like horror. I don't like." And I was like, "Here's the thing. I know it's Mike Flanagan. I know it's Stephen King.
Stephen King,
It's
yeah.
not a horror film.
Mm.
It is a life affirming drama that is told in a very unique sort of, like it says, genre bending way.
Yeah.
It's a very sort of, it's a reverse chronological narrative. So there are elements that is off-putting, I guess, for lack of a better word, to the general movie goer.
Yeah.
But once you sit with it and once you're in it, I wrote in my review for Water Screens, I said it's one of those movies you have to see to feel it. You can't
Yeah.
describe the feeling of Life of Chuck outside of watching it. Like
And
that's the
you
thing.
and you have to, and it's one of those ones where you have to stick with it.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like the first, like the first third is the first third is entertaining and intriguing, but you're like, what is
What is
this?
this about? Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the second, this like the middle half is pretty much just like a dance
It's
sequence,
one sequence
really.
and it's
It's
fantastic.
so beautiful. And then like the ending kind of really, really puts it all
Ties it all
together.
together.
But you're also like, but you've got to get to the end. But like this is one of those movies that it's not a chore to sit through it all.
No, no.
But it really is one of those ones where you just go, if you don't know what is happening, that's okay.
Mhm.
But by the end of it all, everything will make sense. It really is a very reflective movie where you just sit there and go, oh,
And it's an
okay.
experience of
Yeah.
film, I think
And
is
it
another way to
and it's also okay if you leave going, I don't know
it.
how I feel. That's fine.
Well, funny you mentioned that. We're talking about it now because it after releasing in the US after TIFF last year and then the
Yeah.
US earlier this year, it's actually opening in Australia this week.
Yeah.
I hate that. I'm not a fan. But please don't get mad at me for saying that Studio Canal. But in the sense, but we were super lucky to see it before it came out in the US. We were shown a screening of it.
Yeah.
Me, you, and the Studio Canal rep up here in
Yeah.
Queensland. And I was pumped, and we walked. You obviously it was your second time watching it. I walked out, and I was like, I love that. That was so life affirming. It
Mm.
made. I still think about it so much. I'm trying to convince Rhiannon to go see it with me this weekend. I have not stopped thinking about this movie.
Yeah.
But our rep who we spoke to, she found it sad and
Mm.
depressing. And it's interesting what people have taken away. This is one of those movies where you sort of bring your own outlooks on
Yeah.
life to it.
And
And it's kind
and
of no, there's no wrong way to feel about it,
that's it. And like the sad and depressing thing, you're like, that makes perfect sense.
especially with how it ends as well. Yeah.
When you realize like how this movie ends, which is kind of how it begins.
Begins. Yeah. Yeah.
Because how this movie begins is also kind of how it ends, and it's like, oh, that's like it is like really, it is a very sad movie because it's showing you just like the fragility of life,
Yes.
really. But I think we came out of it sort of feeling a bit more elated because we're like, it's showing you how beautiful life
And
is.
the
And
little moments
the
as
little,
well
like
is
it
what
is,
it
it's the
really
little moments
focuses
we
on.
just
Yeah.
go, yeah, you could be going through the worst situation, which these
Mm.
characters do go
Do
through.
ultimately. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it also brings reconciliation.
Mhm.
It brings union. Like it's a
Yeah.
really weird thing to go,
And the
okay,
impact you have on others is a
yeah.
huge thing in this film.
And which is the whole thing about Chuck. We're just like so many people are like, who is this person? And
Yeah.
yet they all are like,
He has this
we all need to
profound
say thank you to
impact.
Chuck,
Yeah.
you know?
But then it's also about the impact they have on him. And that makes
Yeah.
so much sense in if for those who are following the marketing, there's this whole talk about we contain multitudes. And
Mm.
that scene is incredible with Kate Siegel. She is fucking phenomenal. And that's
Yeah,
Mike
I'm
Flanagan's
like,
wife.
yeah, also one like if we're talking about underrated actresses, she is
Dude,
like
she is
everything
incredible.
she
And
has
she's
done.
writing and directing as well. Like
She's
she is
like,
incredible.
and if you don't know who she is, or like if you saw Hush, she's the lead in Hush. If you
She wrote the
saw,
script with Mike for
yeah,
that. Yeah.
she's in like Haunting of Hill
Yes.
House. She's in. I'm pretty sure she's in. Is she in Oculus?
I think so.
I
I
think
think so.
so.
And then
But
she
she's an
directed a
incredible.
segment from the latest VHS as well. Like that was her directorial debut as well,
Right.
which was great.
She's an incredible actress.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of like in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm waiting for her to like have like
The
the
breakout.
role that everyone
Yeah.
all of a sudden she becomes, oh, okay, Katie Siegel.
Because
Yeah.
people will know her from Hush.
People,
That's
yeah.
the thing. Because Hush was
Yeah.
very popular on Netflix.
Oh, my God. Hush is, and
She's
I'm
great.
so very, very thankful that Hush has now
Physical.
gotten a physical release as
Yeah, yeah.
well. Because I'm like, obviously, uh, there's, talking about
Barbarian.
Barbarian. I was like, say, when did Weapons come out? Last
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
Which is, and Zach Kreger is like, I'm
I,
banging the drum and I can't get this movie on. And you're like, you're the director and
yeah.
you can't. So the fact that, and it's like, Hush, that took years. Like,
Almost a decade.
Hush was like one of the first movies to come out on Netflix.
Hmm.
And it's finally gotten a physical release. Which I'm very tempted now, just thinking of being like, I should buy.
I was thinking, like, once we're done with this, I'm like, I might be buying Hush.
But my hope is this is a complete tangent. My hope is that Weapons might bring about
Agreed.
a conversation with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're just saying Katie Siegel's amazing, Mike Flanagan's amazing, The Life of Chuck is amazing,
And
and
we've really spoken
has
about how it makes you feel, right? I want to
yeah,
also point out on a technical level, this
Oh,
is incredible filmmaking. So Mike
yeah.
Flanagan obviously directed it. The way he edited it as well, and
Mm.
that's something else I want to mention. The way it's edited, and not just necessarily like the flow, especially with the unique structure, but the way he intersplices things you will see later on, and how that in the dance scene in
This
particular, that
that
exactly what I thought.
oh my God. When you see Mia Sarah doing it,
Oh,
it's like it's hard.
I watched
It
that
is
scene on YouTube the other night because obviously it's out on VOD in the States, so
yeah.
people are uploading scenes, and I just went Dance Hall Days Life of Chuck. Oh,
Oh.
the
Um,
soundtrack.
also, I, I, it's one of those ones where like, you know what? It's kind of made the money it's going to make, and
Yeah,
like opening in Australian cinemas, it's really sad to say, won't
probably won't.
necessarily do
It
anything
won't
for
push
it.
the needle anywhere.
It's one of those things like I implore you, like, watch it in cinemas. Like,
Watch it with a crowd.
it's so amusing to me that there are like a lot of people that are like the biggest film supporters, and we see a lot of it in Australia, are the ones that then pirate the movie.
Yes.
And it's like, I get it because
Mhm.
sometimes in Australia we get movies late,
Later. Yep.
but it also is like, but if you love film that much,
You
you
will.
can watch it in cinemas. And
It
this is
is.
the movie, like I feel like this is a movie that just needs the cinema
Well, and
experience.
that's the thing. Like, as much as I loved watching it with you and our rep Pete, it was just the three of us. I was sick as fuck that day, so
You
I sat
were.
in like the corner of the cinema. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah. It
I'm
was
not
one of the
getting.
first, it was one of like the only times where like Nick
We
and I were
don't
like,
sit
we're not
next to
sitting
each
near each other. This
other.
is weird. And like cinema was like, it's small, but it's still big enough to be like, it feels like we were like, we're in a fight. We're not sitting with each other.
It was real like divorced parents sort of
Yeah, it was
shit.
real just like, oh, you're here? Great.
And but I still loved it. And I loved watching it in the cinema.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have gone to the preview screening the media screening they had, but I couldn't
yeah,
make it.
yeah,
And I really want to go try and see it with the crowd this
yeah.
weekend. But
I mean, yeah,
I
I
feel
can
confident
definitely
in that.
attest to the fact that at TIFF, everyone was locked
Just
in.
for Act Two, just for Act Two
Oh,
alone.
that, yeah, like we can't, like it's a dance sequence, and you sort of think, how, all right, cool,
How the
dance.
fuck does a
And you just
dance
go,
sequence
you
work
have
in this
no
film?
idea the absolute joy that this sequence brings. Like,
Uh,
like anybody that sits through this and does not smile at in that sequence,
mm,
you are dead inside, and I don't want to know you, because that sequence is like, if that's one of those things where if you're having the absolute shittest day and you feel like absolute death, you'll put
that'll
the scene on
bring
and you
you up.
will feel immediately elated, because
Agreed.
it is pure cinematic joy
Yeah,
watching this sequence come alive. And like Nick Offerman's
I
the
love the
description
narration.
as he's narrating it, like
Hmm.
Tom Hiddleston, like he said, like, can we get this man in a musical? Like,
Yeah,
he
he's
is,
so
oh,
talented.
it's so good. And then it also just reiterates Mike Flanagan's a fucking great filmmaker.
Incredible filmmaker.
And yeah, and like it's so funny how you were saying, Haley's like, oh, even seeing the trailer and you're like, I don't want to see it because it's horror. You're like, there's nothing in the trailer that suggests this is a horror
No,
movie.
it's just the
But
word of
I
Flanagan and
understand,
Stephen
yeah.
King. Yeah,
And it also reminds us of like Stephen King, like, yes, the most popular things he's made is horror,
sure.
but he doesn't just write horror movies.
Mm-mm.
And this is proof of
Proof
that. Like
that he has
it's
some really meaningful stuff
yeah.
in his
It's
repertoire.
it's oh, it's such a beautiful movie, and I just wish it was one of those ones that, I don't know, if like, regardless if it came out last year, like, I just feel like it
Mm.
lost any of the momentum it
It
had,
lost momentum, yeah.
because this
Which
truly
sucks
could have
because
been
Neon knew they had a Best Picture winner with Honora, and they just
Honora.
went all in
Yeah.
on
Which
Honora,
is, and you know what?
which makes sense.
Understandable.
Brilliant film.
Because I
So
think even if Life of Chuck did come out during the award season, it probably would have got lost in the shuffle.
agreed.
Having said that, I think we can both attest to that. Mark Hamill
Oh,
is
he would have absolutely been nominated for a Best
he is
Supporting Actor.
divine in
100%.
this movie, and I think we also forget,
Transformative too. Like you don't know
you
it's
don't,
really
yeah,
him.
yeah, like you're sort of like, it's almost like one of that thing when his name pops up in the credits, you just go, oh shit, that
Yeah,
was him.
that was him.
He's and then also, I like, you rattled off the cast, but I was like, the
Yeah.
extended cast to this is insane.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan's
Like
in
Matthew
there.
Lillard's in here.
Matthew Lillard is in there. Yeah, he's in one scene, and
Unseen.
it is the scene where you go, this movie is not going to be a surface level
Yeah.
look at this sort of. It's not. I wouldn't even call it existential. It's just the purpose of life is put very well into that one moment.
Yeah.
It
And
is explored very well.
and for the horror fans, I'm pretty sure it's Heather Langenkamp from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, is she?
I think she's the old
Ah,
woman that talks to Chuck at the
Chuck it.
house.
Interesting.
I'm
Okay, I
pretty
didn't know
sure
that.
that's her.
Interesting.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I have a feeling it's Heather Langenkamp.
Which
Nick is
is, I
Nick is
mean, because
going.
they've just they've had the which wouldn't shock me being it is her,
It is her.
the neighbor of the Kranz family,
I
which
knew
doesn't
it.
shock me obviously being Mike Flanagan
No, yeah.
loves his horror, loves his horror
So
icons.
yeah. But
Strong
like,
recommend The Life
but
of Chuck.
yeah, Mark Hamill's great. Mia Sarah just like
Yeah.
breaks the heart. It's like it's just an amazing movie that is like we don't get these kind of movies enough at
No.
all.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say ever. Like this is
Yeah.
just something so uniquely
Like
its own thing.
truly original. And like,
Yeah.
look, I know right now original films sort of seem to be getting a bit more,
Thriving,
ironically,
so to say.
momentum because we're seeing like Weapons do well. We've had Sinners and that sort of
Mm.
stuff, and people are like, "Wait a minute, people are showing up to original." I'm like, yeah, but you're also ignoring a lot of original stuff too. Case in point, Life of Chuck, which just needs to be seen by anybody and everybody because it
And
is.
I've heard negative reviews to this. Don't get me wrong. Like this is a movie that some people just aren't connecting with, but I think give it a shot. I think this is absolutely
That's
worth
it.
giving a
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it's just one of those movies where like you might not like it, but and I've said this about a few films, but like you might not like it, but I was like, but you got to respect it for
You've
what
got
it
to respect
does.
it. Absolutely.
And like technically it's really beautifully made. So
Yeah.
you might not like it, but like you can't deny certain aspects of it. So yeah.
Strong recommend for The Life of Chuck. Please see it in the cinema.
Yeah.
Please support it. It's absolutely worth your time. And speaking of supporting cinema, you do that by paying money. Paying money that goes to the box office, and we're going to talk box office. I think I'm just going to segue every
I
segment.
think you know what?
He's on a roll.
Yeah. Yeah, I want
He's on a roll. The Australian box office, as brought to us every
Oh
week
my
by
God.
Numero box office.
If number one is what I think it is, I kind of know the segue to go from number one to
Oh, very much so.
yeah.
But I'll let you take it.
I'm gonna do it. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. You show me what you got. I'll tell you what Superman got at number 5 in the box office though. 800,000, still strong.
That's pretty good.
Coming to VOD this weekend. So
Wild.
I very much so was the same in the sense of like, what's the point? James Gunn came out and said that with Peacemaker season 2 premiering next week, and it is being canon directly following on from the Superman film, he
Right.
said he wanted everyone to have a chance to watch it before Peacemaker came out. I find it hard to disagree with that, but I don't love it.
I'm okay. Yeah, like okay, sure, yes, it's easier
It's
for
4
people to
weeks, 4
see it at
weeks since it
home,
came out.
but
Yeah.
I'm like,
5, sorry.
I don't know. Like,
I'm in the same boat as you. I'm in the same boat.
I was like, if you want people like all right, James Gunn, if you want people to see it, there's nothing stopping you from using your social platform to go, hey, Peacemaker 2's coming out.
Go
Don't forget to see
see.
Superman in theaters.
Mm.
Or get Warner Brothers and HBO Max to connect up and be like, go see Superman in theaters this weekend, and you get like 10 minutes of Peacemaker 2 or something. I don't know. I mean, obviously the rating is wildly different.
Wildly
I was like,
different.
but
Yeah.
you don't have to justify a movie
I
coming to cinema,
no.
coming to VOD 35 days.
I think they've also made the money they're gonna make.
Yeah, I have heard that they're like, oh, it domestically it didn't do as well as they were hoping, but I'm like, but pushing it to VOD doesn't really help you either.
So this is
But
funny. So I've recently just discovered a podcast called The Town with Matt Bellany,
mhm.
who previously worked with the Hollywood Reporter, and he's doing this podcast, The Town, which is featured. It's a real podcast that's featured in the studio. So Matt Bellany
Yes.
is the
Yeah.
critic at the last 2
Yeah,
episodes, not
nice.
critic,
Yeah.
the Hollywood Reporter. Sorry. And he did a chat with at CinemaCon, and the head of Universal said that after the 6 week cinematic release, the PVOD, so premium video on demand
Mm,
release of Wicked
mm.
made $100 million for the studio, which means total money spent by people buying it was $200 million within its first few weeks. So the domestic box office being like, oh, it's not bad. Superman will make more money
Yeah,
on VOD
I
as
guess.
well, which
Yeah,
is
I guess.
crazy to think.
Yeah, I guess it's just more like in some way, like it's obviously like great with Wicked. Obviously, that's great that people
Mhm.
were spending it at home. But I'm like, but as soon as something's on VOD, it's like just like the pirating side of things
Well,
just
that
goes
was another
up,
thing that came up as well. Like how
and it's
much
just
was
feel
lost due
like,
to piracy.
and
Yeah.
then all we get on Twitter and stuff is just like
The,
scenes
the
of the
clips
movie.
just straight up. Yeah.
Like, I don't like, yeah, it's unfortunately it's I guess it's like it's the way of the world right now.
Hmm.
Um, I still want to hold out hope that we go back to theatrical going past a month.
Yeah.
Like,
Past a month would be nice. Like 45
um,
days seems to be like the sweet spot window
yeah.
even the
Um,
cinema chains are looking for.
but
So,
and I also read the weird thing about Superman. They said that like so for its physical rule, and I'm like a part of me is like I'm hoping maybe Australia will buck this trend. But they
hmm.
said physically no extras. You want extras, buy the digital version.
Yeah, I don't like that. The
And then
whole
I'm like,
reason I
so
fucking buy a physical media is because I want
then it
two
was like, so buy
versions.
the digital version that at any point they can just take away from you, even if you own it. I'm like, I don't know. I
No,
don't
I'm not
like
a fan of that. I hope that
that.
is
I'm still going to buy it physically, even if it has zero features. I'm
no,
still
because I
going
want to
to do
watch
that.
it on a 4K
Yeah,
disc
which
again. Yeah.
which I have done with The Accountant 2, which I bought on 4K and has zero features, but I'm like, I don't care. I want that movie on 4K.
Because it looks great.
It looks great.
Well, a movie holding out on releasing on PVOD, despite being an Apple film, is F1, which is at number four,
There you
taking in
go.
another $862,000.
The irony that F1 is the movie that's staying in cinemas for a long time, despite
Despite
being an
being
Apple movie.
also Warner Brothers release though, which is kind
Yeah,
of, but I mean, Warner
yeah,
Brothers are holding on to it theatrically while they're
yes. But you
dealing
know
with.
what? Great. Like Warner Brothers, who are like, oh, we'll push Superman onto VOD, but like, but the movie that we've partnered with a streaming service will
That we
absolutely
released
hit the cinemas.
before Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's no like I've seen zero word of like it's
There's no
coming.
date.
There's no
There is
date. I'm
no
like,
date.
great. I mean, it's they're re-releasing this in like IMAX and
IMAX.
shit.
Yep.
I'm like, great. Like it's weird
Also,
that F1 is the movie that's doing the theatrical plan properly.
Wild,
Yeah.
Brad Pitt's highest grossing film in his career.
Yeah. I
Crazy.
like because I think for so long it was like World War Z was there for so
It would have
long.
been like, I think that did like 400 and something
Yeah,
million dollars. Yeah.
which is funny because everyone is always just like, did World War Z like underperform? We're like, no, World War Z was
No,
like
that
a
was a
banger
fucking
hit.
hit. Paramount
Um,
talking
and
about making a sequel.
I think everyone sort of thought it would underperform because it was one of those ones that went through like development hell
Sure. Sure,
and was
sure.
like released with like reshoots and like, oh my God, it's
Mhm.
awful, and then it ends up being like a really great movie.
I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm pretty sure like maybe like the Ocean's movies did well for him.
Mm,
But yeah, F1 for him to have the highest grossing film of his career at like so far into his career with a
yeah.
movie that was like made with a streaming service is just bonkers and shows you how unpredictable this
It's a
lovely little
it's
industry
such a 2025 headline is what it is.
is.
Coming in at number three, Fantastic Four: First Steps, $1.6 million.
Pretty good.
Not a bad
Yeah.
weekend, to be
I
honest.
mean,
That's not a massive drop off
yeah,
for the
this
Australian box
movie
office.
obviously has has probably suffered a bit more than expectation.
Yeah, yeah, I think
But it's
so.
not doing awful. Like I don't know in the grand scheme of things if it's going to be considered like a hit because obviously like
Mm,
Thunderbolts did well but didn't do well.
yeah.
So I don't know where Fantastic Four sits
I think
in
it's
everything.
just surpassed Thunderbolts. So when you think about
Okay.
how much money was probably spent on Thunderbolts comparatively to Fantastic Four, you would
Yeah.
probably call Thunderbolts a hit compared
Over
to
Fantastic
Fantastic
Four.
Four.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
argue, but it is what it is.
But it's really, really interesting to see this change in the Marvel
Mm,
like reaction where everyone's like they're not as untouchable as they once
as yeah,
were.
yeah,
And we're seeing
we're
like
past the peak.
we're seeing original films do better, which for so long was not the case. So It's kind of like a weird thing to be like, awesome, everyone's showing up for original films. It does suck that some of the better Marvel movies as of late are not doing as well.
because of it. Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see how Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four have any effect on Doomsday.
Who knows what the fuck's happening with
Hey,
Doomsday at the moment?
yeah,
I hear a different thing every day.
yeah,
Number two at the box office, 1.9 million, Freakier Friday.
nice.
Very happy with that. Almost 2 million, which I think is pretty damn good for this film. A
Yeah,
movie that, like we spoke about last week, was originally supposed to be for Disney Plus. Thank God it got a
and
theatrical release
again,
and people really enjoying it.
has done really well in the US.
Yep.
Apparently, like from Sunday to Monday, it had like a 684% rise or something.
Increase. Yeah.
Like people are like actually like seeing it. I'm
Seeing
like,
it. Yeah.
great. So I was like, the second weekend for Freaky Friday will be like really cool to see
Yeah.
just how much like the drop is because
Yeah.
I think it's actually going to be quite a small drop.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Because the word of mouth in this movie is great too. Everyone was like, oh,
Oh,
I don't know. And then bang,
yeah.
everyone's like,
I've
I
yeah.
haven't met a
Like,
person who hated it.
I'm just saying everything I've read and everything everyone's just like, oh, this was, and everyone's like, it's so much better. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like
We
I
told
think
you.
everyone kind of expected this movie just to be like, oh, it's another cash grab
No.
nostalgia sequel. And I'm like, it is,
And
but
it's
it
from
doesn't,
Disney as well. It's easy to be cynical.
yeah,
It's
but
very
it
easy to be
does
cynical.
very, very well. Yeah.
Rightfully so. But it's a week of celebration here at the
Oh,
World of Screens podcast, Pete, because coming in at number one, not just the number one movie around the world, number one movie in Australia at $2.8 million, Weapons. One of our favorite movies of the year,
oh,
original horror from one of the most exciting filmmakers to emerging in this format. Holy shit. This movie, I did not expect this. This is a fucking freight train of
mhm.
film. Oh my god, 2.8 million in Australia for an
For
original horror film.
for an original horror film that is also proving divisive,
Divisive, yeah. Well, yeah,
you know?
it's highly regarded, but a lot more people are walking away going, "That wasn't what I thought it was going to be," but I still kind of loved it,
Yeah, yeah, which
and
is
that's
like,
good.
which is great. Yeah, it really is. It's speaking of Life of Chuck, like it's very heartwarming and life affirming that after so many years of like, oh, all we're seeing is sequels and reboots and remakes. And look, I know ironically we have like given props to remakes and sequels of reboots, like when they're
Mm.
done well. But the fact that it's like in America, an R-rated, in Australia, an MA-rated horror film that is not a traditional horror film
Yes,
is like, has had people, relate it to a Paul Thomas Anderson movie
right.
from a director whose last film like in Australia didn't really do much.
No, it was quietly
Obviously
released,
found
and
its
yeah.
life on like Disney Plus and stuff.
Hmm.
But it's just it really is great that people are giving something a chance.
Mm.
And it's one of those things where you just go, give Zach Kreger a blank check and let that
Oh,
man cook.
they're talking. I mean, he's got Resident Evil next, like we said last week. He taught there has already talked to Warner Brothers about an Aunt Gladys prequel.
All right, quickly.
Yes.
What do you think? What do you think? Personally, I don't want it.
So I want it because apparently it was a storyline that was initially going to be included in Weapons, but was cut for time.
Okay,
So
because
if it
I'm
was already something that he was fucking around with,
like,
I'm
okay,
okay with that. If it's something where like, oh, we need to create this
yeah,
because it's so successful, I'm less inclined. But because he's come out and said, no, no, this is a story that we were potentially going to put in as one of the chapters, but we didn't
okay, all
put it
right,
in too long.
okay. I that makes because I was like, oh, I don't want this to be. It's like
No,
the bad.
oh,
It's like the Barbie bad lesson where we're like, now we'll just make
literally,
every doll a movie. We're like, no,
literally, yeah.
that's not what the Barbie thing was.
It's not what we're here for.
So I thought it was very much just like she's the character that everybody's loving. We'll make her a movie, and I'm like, it's more terrifying, kind of just thinking she's
Kind of like
just
not knowing, but
not knowing that she like. I was like, I get that she's like essentially she's a witch.
yes,
But I was like, but I like that the whole thing is like we don't really know what's up. Like you
yeah,
kind of assume it's for her to like keep living because I'm like
keep
I like the
witching,
fact
yeah.
that she's probably like 400 years old or some shit. Like we
Yeah,
don't
see,
know.
there's some cool shit that they could fuck around
So
with.
yeah,
So
if it's a Zach Kreger thing,
yes,
then cool. But I don't want it to be one of those things where it's
I don't
like
want it to be
I'll take
forced.
her and then be like, I will cast like Emma Stone or something. Like,
Aren't Gladys Origins. We don't want that.
no.
But what we
But
do want, because of $2.8 million worth of reasons, is more
yeah,
Zach Kreger films. Please
indeed.
and thank you.
Thank you.
But that is the box office, as always, from Numero Box Office. And Pete, weapons. Now you do the segue. I had one, but you do it. You do
That's
it.
where I was going. I was like, speaking of everyone loving weapons, you know who else loves weapons? Bob Odenkirk. And he loves weapons so much that he uses them not once, but twice, because we are returning to the world of Hutch Mansell in what's that? A Nobody Too.
I've come to terms with the fact that you don't have an average job.
You guys having fun at the convention?
But we haven't seen you in months.
What happened to your eye?
Somebody found me at the game.
What game?
The one you missed.
And summer break's just a few days away.
We should do something. Strictly family time.
Come on, kids. It can be an adventure.
Nobody 2 brings the return of Hutch Mansell, played by Bob Odenkirk, who wants to get out of the assassin game and realizes that going back to his childhood vacation may be the adult vacation he needs. But we're going to find out that you can't always escape your past. I don't know. That sounds like
Do you
something.
work for Universal by chance? Is that a? Are you on their marketing team?
But yes, as Nick said, just a bloody good time.
Just a
And
fun
also
movie.
Emphasis on bloody because
Oh yeah,
director Timo Tjahjanto,
to Giganto. Yeah.
who has got a very extensive history in like the horror action genre.
Yeah, a lot of like Indonesian martial arts cinema that I love.
I saw The Devil.
I saw The Devil. The Night Comes for Us is one that he worked on, and The Shadow Strays, I believe it's called.
This guy, he infuses his horror films with like kind of like an action mentality. So I feel like he was
Yes.
a great choice to then sort of pivot into like action,
Mm.
but also like keep this like real sense of brutality.
Oh man,
Because
this movie.
Nobody 2 is like as much fun as there is to be had in watching Bob Odenkirk just beat the absolute shit out of people.
Mm.
It's also quite wince-inducing because it's like it's brutal.
We get dismembered fingers. We've got
Yeah.
anchors getting like ripped into people's shoulder blades, which that
Yeah.
made me cringe a lot.
Yeah.
A table saw is used at one point.
Yeah.
The
There's
knives
like
in the
there's a-
surfboard really
yeah,
got me as well for some
there's an
reason.
awesome slow-mo knife into someone's eye as
Oh,
well.
there's the slow-mo. There's a fair few slow-mo action shots actually in this as well.
Yeah.
This is bloody. This
Yeah.
is violent.
Yeah.
This is also leaning a lot more into the fun of
Yeah,
this whole
it's-
premise. And
yeah.
not to say the first Nobody wasn't fun, because that's
No.
why I think it resonated so well. You have like Bob Odenkirk,
Mm.
a comedian by nature, and previous career, but still a comedian now, I guess. But still, like this everyday man who's like living out the everyday man fantasy dream, being like, if my house was invaded, this is what I think I could do.
Which
He's
is
just
what-
also a professional assassin.
Which is where the story came from. So like
Really?
Bob Odenkirk was like part of had like his house robbed.
Shit, and he was like,
And he
I
was
wish I
like,
could
what,
do
and
something.
he was like, what would I do? And then Nobody was born from that because I remember
Which is great.
because I spoke to the lovely Kelly McCormick, the producer. I spoke to her for the first film,
Mhm.
and we have to remember the first film was meant to come out in like 2020.
Yeah, it's a
Eventually
victim
came
of
out in
COVID.
2021, still at a time when cinemas weren't like a place to go.
Mhm.
So it managed to make like $50 million worldwide
Right.
during a pandemic on like a $16 million budget. So it did enough to be like, this is a sizable hit.
Mhm.
If this was out of the pandemic, I feel like this would have been like a huge like $100 million plus movie.
Right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, so it came from that. Obviously, it has, it had like the Derek Kolstad attachment who wrote
John Wick.
Wick. David Leitch, who shadow directed John Wick.
Yes. So
Um,
it's like for people who don't know, Chad Stahelski and David Leitch co-directed John Wick, but because
yeah,
of Director Guild agreements, they
Chad
couldn't
Stahelski
share.
got
So then,
the
yeah,
credit.
David Leitch got the producer credit, and but
Yeah.
they directed, but they worked together in Hollywood as stunt.
Oh, on so many things. And like David Leitch and Kelly McCormick, who are married,
Yeah,
sort of like founded 87 North, and
yeah,
87 North have done like Atomic Blonde and Fall Guy and a whole lot of action
so
movies.
much cool shit.
Um, and yeah, so like I think with Bob Odenkirk as sort of like this everyday man, you've got like the John Wick. Like obviously John Wick is going to be one of those films that people relate nobody to, which just
Yeah.
makes sense.
Oh,
Um,
because it's that style of action though. It's this real
yeah,
frantic, brutal, bloody, and because it's a former assassin going up against quite capable special forces soldiers at some
yeah,
point.
yeah.
That is where but like if you took the action of John Wick, took the comedy of National and like the story of National Lampoon's Vacation,
Hmm.
and just was like, imagine this with just the everyday dude or an
Yeah,
everyday family
yeah,
in this like small fucking country town.
yeah.
That is nobody to.
Plumerville,
Plummerville.
Somerville in Plumerville,
I
as
love
we
that. That was
as
so
we see.
terrible. When he sees that bumper sticker, I was like, that is great. Terrible, but great.
And yeah, so and I think, like Nick and I both spoke about this like off camera, where we said like nobody, the first film probably has the stronger story.
Yes.
Nobody 2 is a funner movie
Agreed. Yeah.
because it really basically is like we're going to give you this easy setup and we're just
Mhm.
going to basically fill every scene with an
Action.
action sequence.
It's
And the
89
actions,
minutes long,
oh,
and there is no fat on
it
this
is
film.
quick. Like
It is
I was very
fast.
lucky to see this at an early screening because I
Mm.
had interviews for the film and I like came out of it and I messaged and I was like, this thing is quick. And then Nick saw it and was like, oh yeah, it is quick. I was like, by the time it got to the end
Yeah.
where like the villains are all sort of there, I was like, oh, we're wrapping up.
We're wrapping this film up. And then it
Um,
like as fun as the climactic water park shootout is, it is quick. It's probably like 10 minutes long, and then it's like bang, the movie's done.
and you know, Bob Odenkirk again is like firing on
Brilliant.
all cylinders. He's having a great time.
And he's leaning more into his comedy too this
Yeah.
time around for sure.
I really enjoyed the fact that Connie Nielsen is given a bigger
Mhm.
role here, and there's
Yeah.
like little suggestions that were like, did she
Has
do
she got a
some
past
skits
as well?
beforehand? Because there's one scene where she's like at a toy shooting range and she's really good, and the son's like, "Wow, you've got a great aim," and she just gives this kind of like
This coy shrug off
smirk, and
of,
you're like,
yeah.
oh. So I like, you know what? If we get a Nobody 3, it'd be cool to like see
Mm,
what happens with that.
where that goes,
We
yeah.
do have 3 villains in this film, and I
Yes.
know that Nick took a bit of issue with that.
Yeah. I think so. I had a lot of fun. I think the
Yeah.
action is really cool. Again, like the first film, very creative. Rather than just like the shoot 'em up of John Wick, it very much uses the environments. There is an arcade
Hmm.
brawl that's very exciting. The Home Alone stylings of the last 10 minutes is really
Yeah.
entertaining. So that was fun. I really enjoyed the family dynamic. I thought a lot of it did work for me.
Yeah.
The villains is where this movie really falls apart because in a
Yeah.
movie that's 89 minutes long, to have 3 villains introduced at different as times of the film
Hmm.
kind of made me go like, who is the threat? Like
Hmm.
what should I really care about? So we got Colin Hanks, who is this dickhead sheriff
He's such
who
an
plays it so well. I was like, Colin, you're so nice. But I'm like, you play, and he's got like the haircut and everything, like the around the ears buzz cut, like
And it's like no offense to Colin Hanks, who is like an app. Like every time I've seen him on screen, he's usually like a very nice
he's a nice
person. I was
looking
like, you're
guy.
Tom
Yeah.
Hanks's son, so I feel like niceness is kind of like
Just
inherent.
rubs off on you naturally.
But
Yeah,
like I like immediately I was just like, I want to punch you in the
he's a
face.
douche, and he's great at it.
He's really great at it, and you're like, oh,
And
okay.
he
But
talks, he runs into Bob Odenkirk and talks about how this is his town. But then we find
yeah,
out he's actually under the thumb of John Ortiz, who runs the water park that brings
yeah,
all the tourists into Plumerville.
yeah,
And he's got a prodigal baseball pitching son who's
yeah.
like
Who's
gets
who's
injured in the
and he's
arcade
and
fight.
he's a dick to Bob Odenkirk's son.
And it's just this whole thing. So I was like, okay, like the John Ortiz thing, yep, okay, that makes sense to me. that there's like one bigger bad, and it's
Mm.
the son that's been who's been injured, and that's why. Okay, cool, and that's all I need.
Yeah.
Then you find out there's this whole illegal shipment of guns and chemicals and a nuclear chemical, by the way, where I was like, how
Mm.
big is this getting?
Yeah.
Really big, because then Sharon Stone, who I will preface by saying is not the reason I don't like this character.
Yeah.
I think the character is a victim of the script or the editing,
Yeah.
but comes in as this, for lack of a better word, like eccentric psychopath
Mm.
whose introduction to the film, she murders a room of people in a casino. She is dancing around. She's very over the top. She's leaning into it in a way that I wouldn't have expected from Sharon Stone.
Mm.
And that's a name too. That's a big fucking pull for this movie.
Yeah.
But by that point, I was like, why? I just thought narratively, I was like, why do I need a villain to be introduced now when we're already almost halfway through the movie?
Mm.
When you could have had either her be the John Ortiz character or
Mm.
just stayed with the John Ortiz character. I don't think either one's interchangeable for me. I think they're both brilliant actors,
Mm.
but the movie just felt like too much was going on, and then I was like, I don't know who the threat really is at this point in time.
Yeah.
And then things happen later on with one of the villains where I was like, okay, I get what you're trying to do, but for a movie this short, this succinct, and like this, tight, probably just had a little bit too much. And I think it's victim of editing or victim of the script, basically.
Yeah.
But I know you really enjoyed Sharon Stone in this.
Yeah, and like, but I was like, I agree with what you said, because I was like, like I said, like by the time it got to the end, I was like, oh, I haven't spent enough time with
Totally.
Sharon Stone, because
Yes.
I think her character is like, she's so much fun. Like, she's like dances, she like has a French bulldog with her. I was like, the fact that she just like
Did you get like a
feels-
little Sam Rockwell, Charlie's Angels vibe
yeah,
from her? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Which
And
is cool. I
I
like that.
think like when she came in, I was like, oh, like absolutely like firecracker, like commands the screen, because it's Sharon Stone.
Mm.
But yeah, I feel like there's like a lot of her story was edited out.
Mm.
So I don't disagree with what you were saying, but I
Totally.
also I really loved her character, and I think I would have
Yeah.
preferred to see her over John Ortiz. Like, I feel like you don't necessarily need to get rid of John Ortiz, but maybe have him kind of be the nice guy that he
Totally,
kind
yeah.
of ends up as anyway. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like him
There's probably too much time spent with him being the villain.
being the villain when
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
not
yeah.
really
Not
the
really the
villain,
villain,
sort
yeah.
of thing. I think that was it. We're meant to believe he's the villain, and then
Or
he sort of comes
if the
around.
movie needs 2 hours to do that, and not that I
Yeah.
think this movie needed to be longer, but if it needed that extra 15 to 20 minutes to
I
do
think,
that,
yeah, that's
then
it.
commit to it. Absolutely commit to it.
And I think if we got an extra 15 to 20 minutes and it was more Sharon Stone, I feel like she would
Different
have
movie.
made
Yeah.
that much more of an impact. But I did love, by the time she was sort of involved,
Mm.
and obviously, look, it's not really that much of a spoiler to say that as the villain, she doesn't last this movie. But
No, Bob
but it's-
Odenkirk Hutch Mansell has a tendency to kill everyone in
But
his
it's one of those
path.
things where it's like, by the time she was there, and by the time she was part of it, and by the time we then had to
Yeah.
say goodbye to her, I was like, damn it.
There's
Like,
glorified cameo vibes.
but
to it, yeah.
but it's also just one of those things to be like, fuck, it's great to see her on screen again.
She
Like,
let loose. She
like,
fucking let
and like,
loose.
and she did like she's like, I think they said she puts the hot in psychotic, and I was like, yep, like she looks
She's
incredible.
stunning.
She's
She's
having
stunning.
so much fun. Like villain and Sharon Stone just go together
Yeah.
so well. And she's spoken about the fact that she was like, I was surprised that I was given this role, and she was like, but I love that I was able to let loose. And I'm like, I think that's what it is. Like, she's just having so much fun. But there is a case of it being like a victim of, yeah, whether there was editing or like script, whatever.
Yeah.
But I preferred her to John Ortiz.
Sure.
Like, Colin Hanks is like, he's the perfect punchable villain, so I feel like you still need him.
I actually have no issues with Colin Hanks and the
I
way
don't-
that
yeah.
character is
'Cause
utilized,
I'm like-
because that makes sense under
Yeah.
the big bad.
And it's like one of those great things where like he tries to be like this big bad like
Yeah.
swinging dick, and then whenever there's like conflict, he just like backs
He
out of
backs.
it.
He sends his
Like,
goons,
yeah,
right?
he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you do this, like the duck boat, which I think is like kind of the highlight of the movie.
It's the bus. It's the bus scene equivalent,
Yeah.
right?
I think it's the bus scene, but it's done. I think it's like it's a bit more inventive.
I would agree, but and
Yeah.
I think it's a bit more inventive. I think that's also Timo Tjahjanto's
Yeah.
direction. Because
Oh
if
yeah.
you've seen a lot of his films, he is so dynamic, he's so energetic. He
Yeah.
has this very stylized directorial style that not that Ilya Nashula didn't have, like, because I still think Nobody's an incredibly fun and well filmed action film, but they
Mm.
are two different sort of action directors, and I kind of liked that. I like them both for different
It is.
reasons.
Well, yeah, it is great that like Timo sort of come into this and like taken a world that's
Mm.
kind of been established.
Yeah.
And it would have been very easy to kind of just jack that style. But you watch this and just go,
Considering how
oh,
close the narratives are at the beginning as well,
yeah,
because it's very much brings you back into the
brings you
world
back.
in a
It's
very
like
sort of similar way.
it's so great that you're like, oh, Nobody 2 is its own film.
Yes.
And you could watch Nobody 2 having not seen Nobody.
Yeah, because
Pretty
the context is filled in enough. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll actually be like I didn't rewatch Nobody before I saw Nobody
True.
2.
No, I did. Yeah.
I would like to watch them like it'll be one of those things. I'll probably wait till Nobody 2 like comes out on disc.
Do a
But it
double
would be
feature,
cool
yeah.
to watch both of them in quite quick succession.
They
just
do
to
feel like
see-
different movies.
Yeah.
They feel like they different sides of the same coin is probably what
Yeah.
I would say. There's a
Yeah.
different energy to each of them, and like I said, Nobody One is still fun, but it takes itself a bit more seriously, whereas Nobody
Yeah.
Two is having a
Yeah.
lot more fun with the absurdity and the
But
insanity.
like Bob Odenkirk being like this, like he's just like he's so fed up, and I love it.
It's
He's just
so
like
good.
he's just like leave me the fuck alone. Like he's
But
so
he's also chasing it. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
He's chasing the violence.
he's kind of just
It's
like
kind of
yeah,
great.
I don't mind that I have to beat these people up. Like yeah, you're ruining
I
my
guess I'll
vacation,
do
but
it.
like I guess I'll do it. Like it's so good. Yeah.
It's a recommend for me. So I think we put it together pretty well. It's nowhere near as good narratively, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. It does feel different enough, but it's it's Bob Odenkirk and Connie Nielsen who sell this movie for me.
And I think it's like, everyone sort of said like F1 was like the dad movie. I feel like Nobody 2 is like the action, like the dad action movie.
This is like every dad's like revenge
Yeah.
like fantasy
Yeah,
for sure.
like being with your kids and being like you're like your son picked on my kid.
Well,
Like
think about the
what
arcade scene
like,
when he
what I
hits the
wish-
daughter in the back of the
Oh,
head.
when that guy hit, I was like, you've asked for it now. Like, like I mean, everybody in this movie asks for it, but like when the guy's like when he's trying to break up the kids, and I'm like, look, I understand that he's just seeing kids fighting.
Yeah.
He doesn't know who started what. But when the attendant like smacks the back of Bob Odenkirk's daughter's head, I was like, nah, you're fucking done now. And
then bang.
thankfully he comes back and beats the shit out of him, and like
The whack-a-mole,
so good.
so funny.
So
No,
good.
definitely a recommend
Yeah.
from Pete and I
Yeah.
on that one. And that was a review for Nobody 2,
Two.
which brings us close to the end of another episode. Before we do close out, I think it is worth mentioning and worth bringing it up that in a sadder end to the show this week, we lost David Stratton, who was literally the poster child of Australian film criticism.
Yeah, he's like the blueprint for I think any Australian entertainment journalist, movie critic, film lover, anybody that works in this industry in Australia, specifically Australia, because I know that he did have an international reach, but I feel like Australia, it was just like, yeah, we really like he was just like at the movies on a Wednesday night with him and Margaret was like gospel. Like it was something that you just watched. And he was kind of the reason that I was like, I want to do that.
And him and Margaret's dynamic together, I loved watching them when they disagreed on something.
When they disagreed, it was, and it's one of those things where I'm just like,
beautiful, to be honest.
it is like, and it's like, you almost want to, like in this day and age when it's like someone doesn't like something and you just get immediately pummeled for it, you almost want to show a clip of David and Margaret and be like, this is what it can be like. Like, obviously like if he didn't like something, like he was a bit of a grumpy old man when he didn't like something. But he did like
an abrasiveness to him as well. That was not beating around the bush.
But he did like chastise Margaret for
No, he
thing.
didn't chastise Margaret, and he was a supporter of cinema. He was
Yeah.
very much like he just wanted, and especially Australian cinema,
Oh yeah.
which is tough these days. Like it's always something I'm internally battling with, like covering Australian content and stuff and
Mm,
whatnot. But he was such a champion for it, and just a champion for Australians to go to the film, and like to your point about how people disagree on so much stuff
mm,
in a very sort of vehemently abrasive way in
mm,
modern film criticism and modern film reviewing. I'd like to think that the reason I think we do this podcast and do our sort of thing is because we're inspired by people like Margaret and David and
oh
their healthy
yeah.
goal. We literally just disagreed about one of the main villains of Nobody 2, and Pete and I will go to bed tonight not thinking like,
Be
I
like,
fucking can't believe he said that. You know what I mean? Like this is
oh
at the end of the
yeah,
day, both all day
like
going,
yeah,
cinema has been dinner.
sitting in bed when it's like, I wonder what he's thinking of, and I'm just like, he didn't like Sharon Stone. Like, what the hell? And then like the next time I see you, I'll be like, I can't believe you didn't like Sharon Stone. Like, what the hell?
No, just attack me on Twitter about it. That's what you would do. But like that's the thing. Like I like to think that like you said, he was a blueprint for a lot of what we do and a lot of the people we love and respect in especially the Australian review industry do as well. And he had been ill for a long time.
Yeah,
He was 85 years
85.
old. Like it's a good innings. And just the impact he had. Yeah, I think I'm just reading here 57 years as a critic, writer, and educator in Australia.
Like,
Like that is a profound
if I,
impact.
yeah, if, and it's like one of those things, like, if I'm even like a thousandth of the critic
Oh God,
is,
yeah.
then like, but like, it just made me think of like, there was, everyone was like, oh, I can't wait till the last one Trier movie comes out because they were like, Margaret usually gives them 5 and
Five
David gives
stars.
them 0. But like, I think for me, one of the reviews I will always
Hmm.
remember is Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh, I don't
Margaret,
remember this one.
Margaret gave it 4.5 stars, and
Fuck yeah, Margaret.
she was just like, she's just like, I turned into a bit of a redhead, and I really liked it, blah blah. And David was just like, 1 star, like what? But I was like, but I love that
He
she
just
was
didn't
so.
get Tyrese. Tyrese was ahead of his
Well,
time. Yeah.
she said she was like Paul. She's like Paul Walker's a little wooden, but she's like, but Tyrese. She's like Tyrese has charisma, and I was
He
like,
has
she's not.
charisma.
I was like, she's not wrong.
Not no.
But I
Not
just,
at all.
and then immediately all I think of is like him going, well, I give it 1, and her going, oh, David, like doing that, and I was like, I love that so much. That's just them. I was like, oh, it's so good.
That's yeah.
And I just sort of think like, oh, what kind of movies that have come out recently that they would have
Had
completely
great conversations
had
over.
different
Yeah,
views on. Like it would have been really, really, really interesting to
to see.
see how they would have gone on stuff. But yeah, when like Wednesday night on SBS, and
Yeah,
then it moved to ABC. And
ABC. Yeah,
when they moved to ABC, it was like the biggest thing because
it
it was
was
almost like this secret thing on
it
SBS.
was a
Everyone
big
was
time.
like, well, you're about to see it. Yeah, like and I don't see Australia having another David.
No,
Like not
no,
with the way that film journalism's going, unfortunately.
no, no, not
Um,
at all.
but
And
yeah,
that's it. He's one in a lifetime
yeah.
sort of guy, and
And it's
and
just like,
Margaret was too. Well, Margaret is still is. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like her.
Oh, I love that she's doing she does like little reviews of like maths and things like that.
I saw that. Yeah.
It's so great that she's still like in the circle, even though she's kind of like pulled back a
Yes,
lot. But
especially from like the mainstream
from the mainstream.
limelight. Really, yeah.
But yeah, they were just like they will never be, and yeah, there'll never be another David and Margaret.
No,
But growing up, I was like, I want to be. I'm like, I feel like I'd be the Margaret in that
the
dynamic
dynamic. Yeah,
because I feel like I probably maybe I like a bit more. I don't
yeah.
know. But I always sort of was like, oh, I'd love to make a show like that. I was like, oh, but this is,
This is our at the
this is our
movies.
version. But yeah, he really, really like inspired me
Yeah, for sure.
to like be like, okay, I love film and I love writing. Like I can do this. So yeah,
And he
just
was he was one of
sad
the
to see him
best
go.
one of the best to do it. So yeah, no, absolutely. So rest in peace, David Stratton.
Absolutely.
Um,
And like
Like,
also hearts and love to Margaret Pomeranz.
yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's devastating.
that was definitely a friendship that you imagine she's, you
Mm.
know, in a bit of pain. So
Of course, of course. And I think like everyone who is an Australian film lover will be watching clips on YouTube of the movie showing
oh
at the movies this
yeah,
weekend for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And, oh,
Uh
and like also just the amount of people that I saw David on the stories, I was
yeah.
like, oh, it made me really, really be like,
I
oh
was
God.
very touched by
I
it
was
as well.
like everybody. I was like everybody loved him.
Everyone.
Like, yeah, it was great.
Well, it's a bittersweet way to end the show with that. But thank you all for listening to the World of Screens podcast for another week. On next week's shows, Josh will be coming back. We're going to be talking about Alien Earth episode 3 and Peacemaker season 2 episode 1 on the TV version, and then on the film version, Pete and I will be discussing again, like Life of Chuck, two films that have had far too late of a release date in Australia, but they are coming out. Eddington from Ari Aster and The Naked Gun, starring Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. What a double feature to be talking about on that show. But that is next week on the World of Screens podcast. If you want to find out more in the meantime, head to worldofscreens.com or at World of Screens on Instagram. Pete, where can the people find you if they want to stalk you for the next week or so?
You can find me on X and Instagram at RatedPDG. Rotten Tomatoes, Peter Gray, Gray. Or you could just, you know what, type in Peter Gray Bellwether Critic and see what
Just see what comes up.
And yeah, there's been a lot of interviews lately. There's a lot of great reviews coming up. And something that I'll talk about more on next week's show will be something that is happening the week after.
Yes, we will definitely be talking about that.
I'm about to be seeing a lot of things.
A lot of films. No, we'll definitely tease and break that down next week.
Yeah.
But until next time, thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next week on the What Are Screens podcast.
Goodbye.